everybody, this video is on the total solar eclipse, which is also a new moon in Cancer, which takes place on the 2nd of July 2019 at 16 minutes past 8, and that's based on UK time. Now, a new moon is when the sun and the moon sit together. The moon is pitch black and it merges its energy with the sun to kind of pull lots of energy in to get ready for its next monthly cycle. It's an eclipse, which means it's interrupted. So this new moon is going to interrupt the sun. So it's going to, eclipse out the sun. And it happens on the north node. So because of the interruption, instead of the energy just lasting for a couple of days, it lasts for 6 months. Now, the energy that's being pulled in is Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. It's about nurturing other people. It's about being caring, creative, imaginative, spiritual, taking care of people through food and emotional support and looking at the domestic sphere, and it's all of those areas of life. And it happens on the north node. So when an eclipse is on the north node, it pulls energy in, and it's going to continue to pull this Cancer energy in for the next 6 months. The second eclipse that's going to happen in July is going to be on the south node, so that's going to release energy. So it's about purging. So what you will be aware of is that over the next 6 months, there'll be more Cancer energy floating around in our universe, which is a really good thing because Cancer is about taking care of yourself. It's not like Pisces, which is totally self-sacrificing and totally focused on other people's needs and other people first and me last. Cancer is, yes, I want to take care of the family and I want to be nurturing, but charity begins at home, and if I don't take care of myself, then I can't take care of anybody else either, right? Which makes total sense. So this new moon is at 10 degrees, which reduces to 1 in numerology, and 1 is about being the boss and taking the initiative. So you will feel driven to reach out, to nurture, to take care of. And this applies to all of us. This video is for all signs of the zodiac. It's for everyone who watches. So if you're a Leo or a Virgo or a Sagittarius, we're all going to experience more Cancerian energy in our spiritual bodies, which means that we're going to have a stronger focus on taking care of our own needs and making sure that we're taken care of, and looking at other people and being more considerate and being more nurturing. So I mentioned this in the weekly horoscope that I did, but sometimes we agree to things without thinking, and when the time actually comes to do that thing, we're like, oh, I don't have the energy to do it, or wow, this is really going to disrupt my routine, and it's a lot, you know, it's going to wear me out. I'm really going to have to draw on my inner resources here to get this done, but I made a commitment, so I'm doing it. When you have that Cancer energy floating around before you make a commitment like that, you take your own feelings into consideration before just saying, yes, I will. Like, yeah, of course I'm going to help you to the hospital that day for your operation, and yeah, of course I'm going to pick you up. You know, instead of doing that, you're going to say, all right, what does my schedule look like? Do I actually have time? How is that time of year for me? Do I feel, you know, am I able to add something extra? Am I able to shoulder extra burden? And if you look at your schedule and you're already so overwhelmed that you're at breaking point, then you're going to say, do you know what, I can drive you and I can drop you off, but I can't do the pickup because on that day I'm super busy. And that's perfect, and that's much better than promising to do something and then flaking out, because what you're able to do is you make a commitment that you can actually keep, and that other person can then reach out to someone else to pick them up. Sounds simple, right? But not always so simple in practice. So the new moon, it doesn't conjunct any other planets. You can see that Venus and Mars and Mercury are nearby, but in terms of the angles, it doesn't connect. It's on its own there in Cancer. The orbs are used, so how far something has to be away from another planet to count as a conjunction, or for it to merge and blend its energy, is 10 degrees. 10 degrees. And all of these are more than 10 degrees away. So the moon is by itself. The north node conjuncts it, obviously, and that is this pull-in energy, which means that the Cancer energy is going to be with us for the next 6 months. And what that means, solar eclipses as well are usually associated with the people in power and the people in charge. And the the lunar eclipses are usually associated more with the people, like the little people, us, you know? But it's not like that. I think the solar eclipses are associated with our sense of what's right and what we're going to do, and our sense of empowerment and what we feel is right. So I think that people are going to be kinder and more caring and more nurturing towards each other for the next 6 months, and that is not a bad thing. That cannot be a bad thing, because if we are more considerate of each other, then life is going to look a lot rosier and a lot happier. So this new moon forms several relationships. First of all, it squares Pallas Athena in Libra. Pallas Athena is the warrior goddess. In Libra, she's able to create bridges and relationships, and at 13 degrees, that's 4. That's security and stability. So it's going to allow you to have and build new relationships with other people, but it's a square, so there's friction there. So make sure the relationships that you build aren't just one-sided, where you do all the taking care of. Make sure that if you do make new friends, or you meet someone and it's because you help them out of a situation, that it doesn't become the staple and the fundamental energy of your relationship, that you're always the caregiver. Make sure that it's a balanced relationship and that you get as much as you give. Pallas Athena then squares Saturn in Capricorn at 17 degrees, and Saturn is about stability and structure. So it's really likely that you're able to create something solid. Saturn then opposes the new moon in Cancer. You're able to create a relationship or relationships that are long-term, permanent, that contain genuine care and love and nurture, and that are fair. And that mean that two equals meet. So this is a healthy kind of eclipse, and the relationships that you form over the next 6 months are really likely to be balanced and positive. And there's this constant friction going on, which means that you check that you look out for it. There's no complacency and say, oh, I met this person, I helped them out and I rescued them from getting run over by a taxi, and then we fell in love and everything's wonderful, and now I pay all their bills and I take care of them, and they've moved in with me and I feed them, and they you know, they've given up their jobs and everything's amazing. No, with this, it's called a T-square when you've got an opposition and two squares. It's this red triangle that you see. So the new moon with Pallas Athena and Saturn, they create this red triangle, and that's a T-square, and it means that you're going to constantly be checking that it's fair. That's what the Libra Pallas Athena does. So think of it kind of as the Queen of Swords, looking at this constantly and saying, is this fair? Is it right? Other relationships, let's have a look. It forms a quincunx with Jupiter in Sagittarius. So, oh, that's wonderful. By taking care of yourself and other people, you activate the good luck of Jupiter. You especially are able to connect to the higher realms, which will inspire you with creativity and imagination. So, by taking care of people, you flex your intuitive muscle and your imagination, and you're able to you're going to find it much easier to form a connection through meditation. If you're a creative, artistic type, you're going to find it much easier to get the inspiration to draw the masterpiece or to write the book or to express a vision that you've got in here, but for it to be reflected on the canvas or in the text or the sculpture exactly the way you saw it. It also allows you to broaden your life in the sense that you will meet other people who are creative and fun and spontaneous and who have had different experiences, so they bring and add a different flavor to your life. And it means that you broaden your horizons. So there will be opportunities possibly to travel, or opportunities to meet people from different places, as well as the opportunity to connect with the unseen higher realms. So as long as you make sure that through the kind of equal relationships that you formed, either within yourself or with other people, and it leads to some sort of opportunity, you can trust that opportunity and you can take it, because it's going to serve you, it's going to be in your interest, and it's going to work in your favor. I'm just looking at the other relationships it forms. It opposes Saturn and Pluto and the South Node. So it's not about, it's not about throwing your whole life out the window and saying, okay, I have to take care of this person and everything, nothing else matters except this new person or this new thing that I've got in my life, and I need to nurture that. Let's say, for like a ridiculous example, you get into bonsai trees, okay, and you become obsessed with taking care of these little trees, and then you become so obsessed that your whole life just goes to smithereens. It sounds ridiculous, but for instance, if you get into gambling and suddenly gambling is all you want to do, and you think you're taking care of yourself by doing that, by giving yourself a thrill, you can become very confused in terms of what's good for me and what isn't good for me. Then as soon as it takes over your life, you need to step back and say, this isn't helping me, because it's supposed to add something to the structure of your life, and it's going to enrich your existing foundations. So if you feel like that the existing foundations have to blow up for you to then broaden your horizons and build something totally new that's going to be much more healing and wonderful for you, that's not the way this is going to happen. It's going to take what you already have in your life, and it will add something to the circumstances you have, and it will enrich you, and it will grow things in your existing life. So instead of the bonsai trees obsessing you and making you so focused that you lose your job and you lose all your friends because you're just pruning these trees all the time, you have a normal relationship with them, and you find a new interest, and you take care of these little trees, and it adds something to your life, and you have these 3 beautiful bonsai trees in your house, you take care of them, and it's an addition to an already good life. Okay, so that's the difference. There is a trine that takes place with Neptune at 18 degrees in Pisces. So if you dream it, if you can imagine it, if you can think it, you're able to manifest it, because the lucky planet will lead you there, and it will allow you to take things which you see in your mind's eye, which you apply to the situation in a way. So let's say you've met someone new, and you're really interested in that person, and one way to take care of them, maybe you love each other, it's an equal relationship, they help you with your finances, and they have anxiety, and what you're really good at is using your imagination and telling really funny, interesting stories. and you use your imagination to tell these wonderful stories, that's going to activate Jupiter to broaden your life, to make things bigger, and to create opportunities that you didn't see coming. So the more you give, whether it's intangible, whether it's something creative from your mind, or whether it's something like helping someone with their finances, being practical, which is also intangible, like you can't measure how much someone helps you. I mean, in hours, I suppose, but you can't measure like the quality of how someone helps you. So when there's an exchange of support and nurturing and guidance, that's going to improve both of your lives, and it's going to make it richer and easier, and the burden will be lifted. There's also a square between Chiron and the new moon, and Chiron is at 5 degrees in Aries. So when you decide that this is going to nurture me, this is going to heal me, I have a really good feeling about it, I'm going to trust this, I'm going to use my perspective on this, and I really feel that this is a good thing. It's not destroying all of the structures in my life, it's going to be something positive that adds to it. You're able to heal certain things which have hurt you in the past, and you're able to nurture yourself to have more emotional freedom in your life. And when you have more emotional freedom in your life, you're able to do more things. So, you know, if I suddenly cure my fear of flying, then the whole world opens up to me, because I can now go on major trips. And if you think, well, how am I going to cure my fear of flying? What's that going to do with anything? If you meet someone and you tell them stories and they help you with your finances, and you really work with each other and support each other, then a certain burden is going to be lifted, right? And emotionally, you're going to have less pressure on you, which means that healing occurs. And you don't know in what area of your life the healing is going to occur. Maybe you become less neurotic, or maybe your fear of flying just goes poof, or maybe you suddenly feel more confident when it comes to starting new businesses, or you feel more self-reliant, or you feel better about yourself. You don't know where the lack of being bogged down and that pressure, when things just lighten up, you don't know how that's going to influence you positively. So expect the unexpected when it comes to emotional healing, and that you have more freedom within yourself and the way you look at the world and the way you see things. So life is going to get bigger and richer. There's also a trine to Black Moon Lilith at 6 degrees in Pisces, and by nurturing yourself and other people, and including spirituality in that, you're going to be able to tune down, or turn the volume down on the ego, which says negative things like you're not good enough, you can't do this, you need support and help. And instead, you're able to connect with your higher self, the higher realms, more easily, and you're able to walk through a doorway and tip the balance a little bit, and get more connected to the side of yourself that says you can, you're supported, you're loved. If you need to do something, ask for help, ask for support, and it will happen, and you will be supported in doing that. So this is a great time, the next 6 months, of working with the ego and being able to master certain fears internally that hold you from achieving your soul mission. Things that hold you back, you're able to kind of overcome those internal difficulties and drop the inner emotional baggage by growing emotionally, and then progressing to do what you're meant to do. You know, like the people who are addicts, a lot of times when, let's say you're an alcoholic, okay, and you start drinking at 18, and every time you have a problem, I mean, you hear it on TV all the time, it's like, oh, I need a drink. If you are a genuine addict and you really have a relationship with booze, or you have a relationship with pills or drugs or whatever it is, you stop growing emotionally. And a lot of times, I'm in recovery, and a lot of times you see people coming in and they're 40 years old, but emotionally they're 15, because they've never had to deal with these things. They've always just had a drink to cope. And this is a time where you're not going to feel like, ugh, I'm just going to ignore this and I'm just going to have a drink or take a pill or something to make this go away. This is a time where you're really taking care of yourself and you're taking care of your life, and you're growing emotionally. And when you grow emotionally, you're able to use that growth and that strength. It's like flexing your emotional muscles, and you're able to overcome the ego, which is that horrible nagging negative voice in your head that we all have, that tells you, I can't, I'm not good enough, because of meh, meh, meh. All of that stuff. You're able to really turn the volume down on that. So this is about emotional growth and just making yourself available to experience that. And that's it, as far as I can see. I'm just double checking with all the planets whether they form a connection. Yeah, that's it. So we have got a big blue triangle in the chart as well. That's called a grand trine, and it connects Mars and Mercury, and Ceres, which is abundance and prosperity, and it connects Chiron. So what happens is that this emotional healing that you're doing is going to make you braver. It's going to give you more confidence in yourself. It's going to allow you to feel like you're entitled to speak up, and you have permission to be in the limelight and to say something that's meaningful and valuable. So there's a lot of emotional growth that happens here during this new moon, and it's because you take care of yourself so well and you soothe yourself emotionally, and it's like doing 6 months therapy in a way. Because you're working on yourself, and because you're working with other people who are positive for you, and you've got that T-square with Pallas Athena going on, so you're constantly evaluating your relationships, and you're saying, oh, is this a good relationship for me, or is this someone who's constantly dragging me down? And in this 6-month period, you will be able to identify individuals like that who do constantly drag you down, and you'll be able to say, I'm not going to do that anymore. And certain relationships may come to an end, and you're going to increase the amount of positive relationships that you have, and especially the relationship you have with yourself is going to improve. That's the best thing, because you're going to be with you for the rest of your life, so you might as well make friends now. And this new moon and eclipse gives you a nice opportunity to do that here in 2019, for the rest of 2019 really. Yeah. So suck in the Cancerian energy, let it wash over any emotional pain, let it soothe you, let it heal you, and know that you are loved and supported, and that the universe cares. So any worries you may have, you can hand over, and you'll know that they're dealt with. So interesting, because I did the weekly horoscope a moment ago, and I was like in tears at the end of it because of like some personal circumstances that I am having to deal with. And doing this video afterwards just kind of shows that, you know, everything happens in perfect timing, and that even if I apply that to my own circumstances, to my own problems, and I hand them over and I say, I know the universe is going to take care of me, and I can take care of myself in the process, then everything's going to work out okay. It's just that feeling of trust, and knowing that there's something out there that really does have your back, and you're not doomed and destined to suffer, and you're not here on this planet to be miserable and unhappy. So that's what I get for you during this total solar eclipse, new moon in Cancer. If you have any questions or you would like a personal reading, then please get in touch with me via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab to order your reading. I use astrology, tarot, and numerology in my personal readings. So to draw up your chart, like the chart that you're seeing next to me, I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, then order a rectification with me. That means that I can work out your time of birth. Once I have those three things, I draw up your chart. It's a snapshot of the sky at the moment you were born. Like this is a snapshot of the sky when the eclipse occurs. And by looking at that and analyzing it, I can see what your life purpose is, what your vocational aptitudes are, where the ego tries to sabotage you, where good luck naturally happens, where you're meant to transform things, what's destined for you in love and romance and money and health and moving, and where you can make changes to those things, and where you have free choice and how you can tweak things so that they work in your favor rather than being controlled by them, and to build on your strengths rather than on your weaknesses. And also I use the tarot and the astrology to look at what's coming up in future. So if you have any questions about when the house will sell, or when the best time is to sell, or when the best time is to sell gold or buy gold, or where to move to, I use the astrocartography for that. What parts of the world are best for you, I can look at all of that via the astrology and using the tarot. So to get in touch for a personal reading, please go to gregoryscott.com, click on the readings tab to order. Have a wonderful time here during this eclipse, and I'll speak to you soon.